So what happened between the 49ers and the Lions last night was historic. So historic that I had to return to Kezar Stadium. 67 years ago, the 49ers and the Lions played on this field, and the 49ers led 24-7 at halftime. They taunted the Lions at halftime. They ended up blowing the lead, losing, and Detroit won a world championship. Last night, the same exact score was true at halftime, except flipped in the other direction. The Lions were up 24-7. They were taunting the 49ers. That was CJ Gardner-Johnson. The 49ers responded by making that a premature taunt, coming back to beat the Lions. And now we will see if the rest of the story involves a Super Bowl championship. The Lions, the last time they won a road playoff game, it was here. One more time. It was here. It was in Kezar Stadium. That's the last time they won a road playoff game. That's the mind-blowing 1957 Kezar parallel. We'll thank Lombardi herself for the video today. She had the great idea of that shot just to put Kezar Stadium in some more epic perspective. It was one of those things where I went to Kezar during the week because I wanted to show you the history of 49ers Lions in the postseason. There was also the great game at Candlestick in 1983 where Joe Montana led the winning drive with about a minute left, the touchdown to Freddie Solomon. 49ers won 24-23, missed field goal by Eddie Murray and the Lions near the final gun sealed it. That was the divisional round in 83. But it's the 57 game that I just can't get away from. Same exact score at halftime as the one that we saw last night. And the taunting is what's really crazy. Kezar Stadium, when you look at that facility and you look at the tunnel that connects the stadium to Kezar Pavilion where the locker rooms were, that was the tunnel of taunting. Both teams would come back out from the locker rooms through that same tunnel. And the 49ers were talking so much crap to the Lions in 1957 when they were up 24-7 at halftime. I mean, they were being the CJ Gardner-Johnsons of the situation. And the Lions came all the way back and beat them 31-27. So the final was a little bit different, but 24-7, same halftime score, turned into a win by the team that was trailing last night. 24 hours later, Detroit's collapse last night against the 49ers remains one of the most mind-blowing things I have seen on a football field, because I haven't seen a game turn on such a snap of a finger. I mean, Detroit was dominating this game in every single form possible in the first half. They were on pace to run for about 300 yards at 7 yards per carry. That was a more prolific rushing output than the 49ers had managed against the Green Bay Packers when they destroyed them in the 2019 season's NFC Championship game. So the Lions were owning every part of this. I mean, even 3rd and 18, the 49ers couldn't stop Detroit's pass game. That was supposed to be the weakness for Jared Goff and company, because you're supposed to be able to pressure a quarterback on 3rd down and 18. But no, the Lions were hitting 3rd and 18 against the 49ers, whose defense was helpless. Obviously, offensively, everything ground to a halt for San Francisco because they couldn't pass protect in the first half. The middle of the line was getting backed into Brock Purdy. I mean, I had seen a big turnaround in Week 18 of the 2021 season, the game at SoFi that the 49ers needed to get to the playoffs. That obviously was a huge, huge San Francisco win, and it was a big turnaround from 17 points down, just like this game last night. But there was something even more profound about the turnaround last night, because remember that SoFi game against the Rams, who would be the eventual Super Bowl champions, by the way. Remember that game? The 49ers came back, but then the Rams retook the lead. So then the 49ers had to come back again and then win in overtime. This was just all one fell swoop yesterday. This was one avalanche. And everything for Detroit collapsed. From the offense, Jared Goff was missing passes. His receivers were dropping passes. The run game, which had 148 yards in the first half, had 34 yards in the second half. The defense obviously couldn't tackle Brock Purdy, who was running away from them, couldn't guard anybody downfield. CJ Gardner-Johnson, Kyle Juszczyk put him on skates for 26 yards on one play. That was the big McCaffrey play that set up the ultimate game-winning touchdown to Elijah Mitchell. Special teams. Remember when Detroit had that awesome punt, but then they couldn't down it inside the one? They let it slip into the end zone. That played a huge part in the 49ers comeback as well. So even special teams was faltering for the Lions. Then there was the case of coaching. The Lions opened the door for the 49ers by unnecessarily going for a fourth down from the 49ers 28-yard line. They say that they played the numbers and played the percentages, but you have to take into account human emotion in these situations. I'm as big of an analytics guy as the most normal person would be. I'm not far enough down the rabbit hole to say, oh, just because the numbers said something for Detroit, they should have done it in that situation. You have to read the room. And I don't think Dan Campbell read the room twice. Twice he trusted Jared Goff to throw instead of going with his run game, even if he decided to go for it, obviously. In both of those situations, I think that he probably should have considered giving it to a run game that had been averaging 7 yards per carry instead of Jared Goff, who struggled anytime he was under pressure. But that is beyond the point. The point is a more overarching one, and it is that Detroit collapsed at every single stage of this. And of course, the 49ers had something to do with that collapse. The 49ers in this game yesterday, they're heavyweights. They are heavyweights, and they're heavyweights. They got desperate at halftime. I wrote about the meeting that the 49ers had during halftime in the locker room, and they refocused themselves and they got back out there and they made their run. But when you're dealing with a blue chip team like the 49ers that is playing with the weight of disappointment of 2 NFC championship games in a row that hadn't gone their way, the Super Bowl in the 2019 season that didn't go their way, it's a win now for the 49ers. It would have been tremendously damaging for them to lose that game yesterday, especially in the fashion that it looked like they were going to lose at halftime. So the 49ers said, no, we're not going out this way. And they put the full weight of their blue chip status onto the Detroit Lions in the second half. And a lot of times when you see a team-wide collapse like what we saw from Detroit, it wouldn't happen against an inferior team. If they were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't think Detroit collapses like that. If they're even if they're playing a better team in the NFL, somebody like the Baltimore Ravens, maybe it doesn't happen like that, right? The Ravens obviously lost yesterday to the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe it doesn't happen if they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe that only happens if the Detroit Lions are playing the San Francisco 49ers. Maybe that is how good the 49ers are, that they're able to flip the switch. Warriors like Avalanche. And here 24 hours later, it's about 8 o'clock. So this game was wrapped up at this point 24 hours ago. The 49ers were celebrating on the field. There's confetti down there at Levi Stadium. 24 hours ago is when this all went down, and the 49ers notched not only one of the most memorable wins in franchise history, but one of the most memorable wins in NFL history. Definitely one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history. It was the largest comeback ever at halftime in a conference championship game. Nobody had ever come from down 17 in a conference championship game to win. So the ghosts of Kezar Stadium live on, but the 49ers avenged the ghosts of Kezar Stadium against the Detroit Lions yesterday to punch the ticket to the Super Bowl. Just absolutely substantial stuff. We're going to watch some tape today. That's going to be on the agenda. Mike just cut some up for us, so we get to see how the 49ers were able to deliver on this epic comeback. I'm just downloading some of it right now. We'll pop it open on the screen, and we will have some fun watching. This is the first time I've seen this tape from the All-22, by the way, so this is going to be an interesting look for me. No pre-rehearsal of this 5-minute clip as we watch. So, Mike, can you let me know where this drive is, please? And then I will go from there. He goes last field goal and last touchdown. So this is going to be the field goal drive that began with Brock Purdy spinning out of trouble. That was Melifonwu with a safety. This is the Steve Young type of play. We saw several of them from Brock Purdy, but Steve Young was quick, he was fast, but he was also a physical runner. And this to me is insane burst from Brock Purdy, but the physicality is crazy. Here comes the late safety blitz. I mean, it looks like he's going to decapitate him. And somehow Purdy gets out of there, and then he throws off platform to Juszczyk, who gets his feet in bounds. But we have to rewind this. This is just special from Brock Purdy. We're going to pause it. This probably should be a penalty. He's striking his head. Purdy has the wherewithal and just the feel for where he's at in the pocket to duck at the last second. He's got a really strong base and lower body. The fact that he doesn't get brought down by a free rushing blitzer, that reminds me of stuff that Young used to do. He would spin out of these sacks in really physical fashion. And at this point, this is really difficult. Look at the throwing platform here from Brock Purdy, because you're being chased by a defensive lineman. You got a linebacker right in front of you. You are moving to your unnatural throwing side. Remember when make Brock Purdy roll left was his kryptonite in 2022, his rookie season? It's no longer his kryptonite. That throw, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. That is a throw that maybe only two quarterbacks, probably maybe three in the league can make right now. I'm definitely giving Patrick Mahomes the credit for that. Maybe Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is not as accurate as Brock Purdy. He's more physically imposing. I don't think he's as accurate, but Purdy put that one on a bullseye to Kyle Juszczyk, who made the really, really nice catch. One thing about the second half is that the 49ers were really, really primed to start running. See a little counterplay from Christian McCaffrey. Detroit is the number one run defense in football. They run a ton of base defense. And Purdy's passing, especially as it picked up in the second half, really, really loosened Detroit up. And you saw the 49ers start to really use the run game to gash them in the second half, to control game flow. It pushed Dan Campbell into some of those fourth down decisions, because he said in his post-game press conference that the Niners were bleeding clock and that he wanted to regain the upper hand. He was getting desperate. So that's why he was going for it on fourth down. Because look at this, the outside zone flow blocking. Great for the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey fitting through the crease. Then you set up a screen. This one didn't work as well. Deebo Samuel couldn't get around the cornerback. That was a nice play from Kindle Vildor, who had the interception clang off, potential would-be interception clang off of his helmet before it went to Brandon Aiyuk on the immaculate deflection. But the pattern for the 49ers was really simple in this football game. And it was pass to set up the run. And here's another pass that's going to set up more running. This is a beauty from Brock Purdy. The people who said that he didn't have arm strength can stop analyzing football now. This is another one of those cross-hash throws. Look where he's going to let go of this throw. Far side hash mark, across the field, drops it in a bucket for George Kittle. That is absolutely perfect, and we've seen this on a repeated basis from Brock Purdy when he has time to throw. When he has time to throw, he is very accurate downfield. When the interior line is pushed into him, well, that's a different story. But, I mean, even when it has been pushed into him, he still made some good throws. I mean, the one that he made early in the game when the big nose tackle for the Detroit Lions was just destroying Brock Purdy, the throw to Deebo Samuel, that was truly one of the most impressive throws that I've seen Brock Purdy make in his young career. All right, more Steve Young action. Takes off and runs. I'm going to rewind it just to show you that there's nobody open here. Running should be a last resort. It's not something that you do first. And right here, Purdy, if there is an option, it's the far side receiver down over by the 10-yard line. But as you can see at this point, by the time that he needs to pull the trigger on this, and I don't think that it's his first read, by the time he needs to pull the trigger here, you have a rusher coming free. We'll see who that is when we get to see the end zone angle. So if the rusher is coming free and Purdy's not confident in his ability to step into the throw and he sees big-time space in a cover four-like zone, we know the Lions run a lot of zone, then he's going to take that space and move into it to pick up the first down. So it looks like, yep, that's Feliciano chasing his man. So this is why Brock Purdy could not hit his receiver on the far side. John Feliciano, the right guard, gets beat. Purdy trying to step up into the throw, faces a defensive lineman instead. This is where Purdy's elite quickness comes in. He's got that 10-yard burst, the 1.55 10-yard burst, He's got some good movement skills, just shakes that defensive lineman out of his pants to move forward. This was a masterclass from Brock Purdy in pocket movement, pocket manipulation, and ability to show off that burst that really is 95th percentile for Brock Purdy. It was measured. 2 straight sacks ended up forcing a 49ers field goal here. We'll see whose fault this one was along the 49ers offensive line. This was a play fake. This was a coverage sack. I remember this one. 49ers just didn't run the proper pass concept against this particular Detroit defense. In fact, if we go back a little bit further, if we go back to the all-22, you can see that the 49ers, who are keeping a tight end and a back end to protect, they don't have a check down here. When you keep both McCaffrey and Kittle in to pass protect, yeah, you're going to create a little bit more time for Brock Purdy, as they did, but you also don't have as many eligibles downfield, and the Lions, with their 3 defensive backs in the end zone, are doing a good job covering everybody. So Purdy smartly takes the sack. He doesn't try to force the ball downfield in this situation. This is what we call a coverage sack, and I would get into even more detail and say the sack is on Shanahan. He didn't call the right play for the right situation. Ultimately, a rusher is going to break free. Purdy eats it and takes the sack. He wasn't able. It was a good disciplined pass rush. He wasn't able to break out of the pocket to throw it away. So they took sacks on 2 straight plays here. The second one, this one is a loss for the 49ers up front, much more than the play before. This is 3rd down, too, for the 49ers. So they're in obvious pass protection. 54, again, beating the inside. So this is the interior pressure I was talking about in the first half. 54 is going to beat John Feliciano, back him right into Brock Purdy. When you have 7 back in coverage and you're getting that kind of pressure with 4, and that's what the Lions were able to do here with 4, Brock Purdy is going to stand no chance. That is not on the quarterback. That is on the offensive line. The 49ers have the number 20 rated offensive line in pass block win rate. So I think it all makes sense. That was actually 2nd down. Now they face 3rd and long. So they just go to the check down, set up an easier field goal. Might as well toss it to Deebo Samuel, see if he can break a few tackles. Might have partially broken one, but 49ers would have to settle for 3. So that's just the appetizer right now. We've got more. We've got much more. We've got the final touchdown drive coming up. That was the field goal drive that put the 49ers up 27-24. Detroit then got the ball back, but they turned it over on downs because they didn't elect to kick the game-tying field goal. They thought they were so afraid of the 49ers offense, they thought they needed to score a touchdown to stay ahead of schedule. That's how much the 49ers had turned it on. So created a really interesting situation in which the 49ers had a chance to firmly put the game away with a touchdown drive. And now we can watch the 49ers firmly put the game away with this touchdown drive. They have the ball. They're up 27-24. And obviously they have now passed well enough, and Brock Purdy has moved the ball well enough with his legs to set up the standard run to Christian McCaffrey, who has unreal vision. The hole is supposed to be to the right here, and you see McCaffrey say, I don't think anybody has room to run here. Scans, cuts back on a dime. Did you guys see that cut back? One more time. Watch McCaffrey cut from right to left, from his right to left. Whoop, right there. I mean, that earns the 49ers valuable extra yardage. He is just so good. They call Elijah Mitchell Drano because he's always able to find the hole, but Christian McCaffrey, obviously, he's elite in that regard. Play fake. So you've run on 1st down, you go play fake, you find Deebo Samuel for the chain mover on 2nd and about 3 or 2nd and about 4. Move Juszczyk into the backfield. Play fake to McCaffrey. Look at the defense flow that way. It's good discipline on this side, but a lot of defenders flowed with Christian McCaffrey. The Lions are disciplined. You got to give Cam Sutton and company credit. They're there to make the tackle on Deebo Samuel. He picks up the 1st down, but you could still see how the 49ers play action concepts make a lot of players flow in the opposite direction, which is exactly what you want as a play caller. Look, 49ers running a crack toss to McCaffrey. Doesn't gain as much as those types of plays gained against the 49ers, but it still is a favorite of Kyle Shanahan. Don't worry, the drive is just getting going. I know that near midfield, that's when we're going to be coming up on the biggest Brock Purdy run of the night. Purdy, clean pocket this time underneath the McCaffrey. The Lions playing coverage there. Purdy didn't force anything downfield. Playing within himself, which is really smart. You'll see this again from another angle. Looks like a wide 9 approach from the Lions defensively here. But this is good straight drop pass protection for the 49ers. I have to acknowledge when they do that well on top of when they do it poorly. So nothing really to write home about on that play. It's now 3rd down, and this might be the biggest play of the game. One of the many huge plays in the game. Let's put it that way. 4-man rush. 4-man rush beats the line, but Brock Purdy beats the 4-man rush. We don't bring up Joe Montana and Steve Young talk lightly. We bring it up when it applies, and this is a Steve Young type of run to move the chains on 3rd down. I'm going to pause it again as soon as the pocket collapses. You have the interior and right tackle collapse. Look how much better the left side in this situation and center Jake Brendel is holding up than the right side, which has essentially found its way into Brock Purdy's lap. So as soon as that collapses and the Lions are dropping 7, so nobody's open, he has to escape. And he does escape. Diving attempt doesn't work. I think that was Anzalone trying to get to Brock Purdy. Awesome, awesome run. One more time. The foot race against the linebacker. Brock Purdy is going to win that any day with that 1-5-5 10-yard split. Look at that. Green grass beyond. Huge, huge run for Brock Purdy. This is not a new dimension to his game. I've been talking about it all year. But now it seems like the larger media is finally starting to also figure it out. Now, how about this? This is the 26-yard block from Kyle Juszczyk against C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who had actually tried. He's the one that taunted the 49ers. He was waving goodbye with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Watch Juszczyk. Juszczyk's on the right side of your screen, right at the hash mark. So he picked up this block at right about here at the 26-yard line. Watch Juszczyk and then number 2, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, just go for a ride. C.J. Gardner-Johnson trying to run with Juszczyk. Juszczyk, nope. Kicks him out of the tackle-making club. That is a hell of a block. I want to watch the play again from McCaffrey's perspective because the left side of the line, punishing block from Charlie Werner. It's good stuff from the 49ers. George Kittle doing work. Christian McCaffrey, tough to bring down. Sets up the 49ers' ultimate game-winning touchdown. I think that would come 2 plays later. I don't think it would come on this very first play. I was wrong. McCaffrey, I think something started bothering him after that play, and the 49ers put Elijah Mitchell in. Now I remember. And Elijah Mitchell, first carry of the game, bowls in for a touchdown. Good for Elijah Mitchell. People would take some grief for injury issues. I don't think that the grief that's coming their way is coming from people who understand how difficult this game is and how far out of control players are when it comes to stuff like that. Some players are just luckier than others. And I get it. Some have worked at that durability and they're built that way and they've had some luck, but you can never look at a player who's injured a lot and know for sure that that's fully his fault. And Elijah Mitchell's done a lot of good stuff for the 49ers, including relieving Christian McCaffrey in that situation and punching it in for a touchdown. Talked to Kyle Shanahan earlier today. He's more upset with pursuit and not edge setting for the 49ers. I saw Chase Young, there was the early touchdown to Jamison Williams on the reverse. I don't think Chase Young was running full speed. I think that might have been what Kyle Shanahan was alluding to. I mean, the run defense in the first half was atrociously bad, and they faced 21 carries, and they gave up 148 yards. It got better in the second half, but it was only 8 carries for the Lions. A lot of game circumstances, and this is all complementary with the offense and the pass defense, put the Lions in a position where they weren't able to run nearly as much. So that's all worth keeping in mind. Let's watch Kyle Shanahan's team speech. This was really good because we talk about 49ers character. He thought they showed a lot of it in this game yesterday.
We've had a lot of good teams around here. All right, a lot of talented teams, just like this one. All right, but the character of this team these last 2 weeks, and we felt it through that whole game, and I can't thank everyone in this room enough, man. All right, hats off to all you guys. Hey, guys, honestly, guys, we started off in the third quarter, and we didn't get a touchdown, and we got a field goal. I was like, all right, like, this is going to be tough. All right, but we stopped them on 4th down. We went right down, got a touchdown. I think Gibb caused a fumble, which got that going. But hey, guys, we know we set out to get to here. We know how short we were last year. We know how that felt. All right, that's what I was thinking there right there at the end of the second half. Like, man, we cannot go out like this. We waited all year to get to this game. And we feel got to play a whole game. And we needed the whole game, and we got it done. But as always, this is not the one that we set out to get. Let's go. All right, it's not the one we set out to get.
Superman! Rico! Hey, get it, Rico.
Hey, man. Hey. I mean, he said it all right there, man. One more to go. Let's go. Now let's go. 3, 1, 2, 3.
No, a long time since I've seen Kyle Shanahan that relieved. He did not want that game to go down like it looked like it was going to go down at halftime. There was a lot riding on the 49ers coming back in that game. The bigger and badder you build your team over the years without finishing it with an actual Super Bowl win, the more chips you push into the middle of the table for these massive games. That's why people were so nervous before this one. I tweeted before the game, you're nervous because this means something to you. The fans sensed it. This meant so much to the fans because of all the heartache that the 49ers went through. But that heartache also is a sign of the amount of work that they had to do over the past few years. 2 20-game seasons, if you include the playoffs, in 2021 and 2022. It is so hard to pick it up and, after you've been eliminated, especially in the NFC Championship game, and fight back to contend for the mountaintop again. It is so difficult because it normally gets harder every single year because the bruises and the toll has accumulated, right? If you make it deeper into the season, then just naturally you're at a disadvantage physically relative to the teams that didn't make it as far. So the 49ers, with how much they had been through in the past few years, they showed up at the stadium on Sunday, and I think that the stakes were really clear. They needed to make the Super Bowl, and at this point they're saying we need to win the Super Bowl to make the blood, sweat, and tears of the past few years yield some kind of tangible reward. Now, obviously, there was a tangible reward with the win in this football game, and that's why I wrote about what I did write about. I wrote about the locker room. I wrote about the reversal at halftime. I wrote about what the 49ers did adjustment-wise, and then I talked to Frank Gore in there about how the 49ers are built right. I talked to Eric Armstead about how they're built right. He says that this comes from years of just good attitude under Kyle Shanahan. Armstead was here before Kyle Shanahan, but he says that how the 49ers fought in those dark days in 2017 and 2018 when they're behind in games, when they're losing games, but they didn't give up. That kind of character sticks with the team's core, and now that character allows them to pick it up and come off of the mat. So when we watched all of that unfold yesterday, I think we saw so much of the 49ers vision, and that's why Kyle Shanahan keeps on mentioning the vision. And I wrote that article 2 weeks ago about John Lynch's work with Shanahan on the vision statement. I mean, all of that stuff, this is how the 49ers operate. We're learning, we're getting a window in. Hopefully I'm giving you a window into how this team operates as it's on that search for its 6th Super Bowl championship. How about this play? This is what we call the BA ricochet, although this is not the BA ricochet. I got the wrong play up for you. Let me do a better job selecting the right video file. All right, who's ready for the BA ricochet? This is it right here. Purdy, deep. Vildor, oh no. Brandon Aiyuk, oh yes. And I guess that Vildor had gotten his leg. He had touched his leg right there. And that caused the officials to rule Brandon Aiyuk down. He thought about going for the slam dunk, but he didn't quite do it. What a celebration from Aiyuk. Nice video from the 49ers digital team. They're putting out some excellent work. But anyway, what do you want to call this play? Do you want to call it the BA ricochet? Do you want to call it the immaculate deflection? Not going to be the immaculate reception. That would be the immaculate deflection. I mean, I'm going to pause this for just a second. Right off of his face mask. Crazy stuff. You know, I have an article coming out about this. Here's one. I'm going to pause it. Right in that face mask. Bounces behind it. Look at that concentration from Aiyuk. That is elite hand-eye coordination. To be running full speed downfield, tracking a deep ball, seeing it clang off of the cornerback, and then, you know, within the split second of it bouncing in the air, to move your eyes toward tracking it, and then the instincts to lunge, dive for it. Wow. Trent Williams said he thinks Brandon Aiyuk is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. You can like if you agree. You could comment if you disagree. You could comment if you agree. You could comment if you have no opinion on this. But that's an elite reaction play from Brandon Aiyuk, and his teammates give him some well-deserved props at the end. Article tomorrow on the BA ricochet. You know, it's funny because it's a team of destiny kind of thing. Something like that. You watch something like this happen. I'll put it back up on the screen because this is too good. Watch something like this happen. You don't see this ever happen. And you say, oh, geez, the football gods must want the 49ers. Trent Williams said that. He was talking about the football gods yesterday. How can you not after a play like this? It was part of that mind-blowing comeback. It was like it was meant to be for the 49ers. There's so many poetic signs right now about this team. But it starts with the character that Kyle Shanahan talked about in the locker room, because to put yourself into position for something like this after the first half that the 49ers struggled through, you absolutely have to have a good locker room team buildup. You have to make some of your luck. If you have yourself in positive position, good things will tend to happen, even when you're down 24-7 at halftime. That's why the 49ers, I think, are such serious contenders to win it all. They're favored to win it all. They've been favored throughout this postseason to win it all, and now they're favored by a point over the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 58. All right, time for a 49ers Q&A. Go for Broke has our history. Since today is January 29th, he's reminded that it's been 29 years since the 49ers had a Super Bowl winning season, when they won Super Bowl 29, which was played on the 29th of January, 1995 against the San Diego Chargers. Crazy, crazy stuff. Wow, we got one more video. Oh, this is the good one. Whose video is this, Mike? I'll play it, but I want to credit whoever shot this video. Really, really good stuff. Just wait. You get the best angle as soon as I play this. So you'll get the best angle of Shanahan and Purdy 24 hours ago. Still hard to believe what happened 24 hours ago. 29 years ago, the 49ers won their most recent Super Bowl. But 24 hours ago, the 49ers notched a legacy win over the Detroit Lions, who came to play, but the weight of the bully, right? The weight of the 49ers' desperation and the fact that they're just a heavyweight ended up suffocating Detroit down the stretch. Every part of this collapsed for the Detroit Lions 24 hours ago, and every little part of it had a role. That's what made it such a substantial, historic comeback. One of the biggest comeback ever, but you can call it one of the greatest comebacks ever for sure. Checking on one thing before hopefully I can play you guys this last video. We have hit 1 million views over the past 48 hours. So thank you all. I think that's a record of some sort. Oh, the 49ers shared. Okay, so we'll play it. 49ers have a great video from the field. So Check this out. This is the end of the game, and this is obviously a very emotional moment for the 49ers. It's, I mean, it's poetic stuff. It's stuff that's going to go down in history. I try to contextualize it for you immediately yesterday after the game. I said, what you're watching right now this is going to go down with the Montana Young playoff wins. Now, especially if the 49ers win the Super Bowl. That's where you have to solidify it at the very end. It's going to be historic no matter what. It was the biggest conference championship comeback ever. Brock Purdy cemented himself as an elite quarterback with it. The 49ers turned it around in epic fashion at halftime. The whole "they had us in the first half" kind of thing from George Kittle was funny. That's all great. But to truly make what happened yesterday legendary, you're going to have to finish the job in the Super Bowl. The 49ers are currently 1-point favorites in that Super Bowl. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. I'm tired. We've hit 1 million views in the past 48 hours. We have 1,111 viewers right now. I think it's a good time to finish the show. Thanks for joining. We'll talk to everybody soon.